What's going on, guys? It's your host of the most of that guy 583 again. How you guys doing today? Sorry if this video is going out late. It's only 10:30 p.m. Alright, so the first time I got arrested, I was 11 years old, but I only had 1 week before I turned 12 at the time. So technically, I guess I was 12, but at the same time, I was still 11. Alright, now let me tell you how exactly I got arrested. Now, 2 months before all that, or before all this happened, I got charged for battery and assault because I choked somebody because it was a stupid reason. It was because he liked a girl that I liked, and that was stupid. But I was 11 at the time and didn't know any better. Alright, so what happened was that, like I said, he liked a girl that I liked, and we started arguing. And then after that, I said, if you don't shut up, I'm going to choke you. And he said, okay, do it right now. So I said, okay, maybe I will. So I pushed him against the wall and I used my thumbs to go choke him. And he started like putting his arm, like trying to like get my hand or my thumbs away. And this happened outside the gym doors. And I remember because the kids were like, they're like shocked and they're trying to help out too. And his face was turning red. And I actually regret this. I actually regretted this because I felt bad after this. But I saw him, his face was getting red. He was like not saying a word. I finally let go after like 40 seconds. And then he tells the coach, and the coach tells me go to the office because he had my thumbprints on him. And so then that following day, they sent me down back to the principal's office to go sign some papers. And then they told me to write down a statement about what happened. And they didn't even tell me that they were pressing charges, which I think that they should. And by the way, I was in 5th grade when this happened, so they should at least told me what was happening. So 2 months go by, and like I said before, I'm in Paces, or used to be, for my bad behavior. So it was my first day in Paces whenever I got arrested. Bad example. So here's what I did. Now before I tell you about my first day in Paces, let me tell you what I did. Now, I remember that back in 5th grade, I was kind of short, and I still am. And even though I'm like 5'7" or 5'8", now back in 5th grade, I was only 4'11". So I wanted to make myself look taller. So here's what I did. I got a bunch of socks, like a lot, and just put them, like I didn't put them on. I just put them on a shoe so I can stand on top of it. And I was limping, and it looked like I had a bad heel. And then I remember because I was limping a lot, and then the teacher asked me if I was okay. Like, yeah, I'm fine. It's just my heel. And then that day she told me like to go meet all my other teachers that I had in elementary school. And I said okay, because back whenever in 5th grade, we had our own school, but the Paces there was at the elementary school. But if you were in 6th grade, then it would be at the junior high. So I was in elementary, even though I was in 5th grade at the time. So it supposed to be in 6th grade because I failed or got held back 1st grade. So I met all my teachers. They were surprised I was in Paces. And then after that, later that day, like towards the morning, like second period, that's whenever I hear the principal call my name, and they're talking to my teacher. And then after that, they said, "Oh, Ryan, they need you in the hallway." And I said, "Okay." And right when I walk out, I see a police officer. I'm like, okay. And then after that, they explained to me what happened, and like, okay, how come you're just barely telling me this now? And they said because they had to do the paperwork. And I was like, oh, okay. So then they told me that they're gonna like send me off to JUVY, and then they put me in handcuffs. And on the ride to the police station, I was like nervous because I had all these thoughts racing in my head. What's gonna happen? How long am I gonna be in JUVY? Is the food good? Because I was a picky eater back then, but I'm not anymore. So they took me to the police department, the police station. They got me fingerprinted, and I had to sit on this metal bench. And right when I sat on the metal bench, I saw this girl there, and she was there for knocking somebody out. And the reason why I'm mentioning this in the story is because the next year when I was in Paces, she was actually there in my class, and that's how we met in JUVY. So after they get me fingerprinted and they wash my hands, then the male officer takes us to the female officer, and then they take us to this garage with the police car in there. And then after that, they opened the garage, and we were handcuffed in, me and her together in the back seat of the car. And then on the way to JUVY, which was like a 30 or 20 minute drive, I was just thinking to myself, oh fuck, I'm gonna get raped. I was just thinking about all this stuff that's gonna happen to me, and I was scared because I was only 11 years old. Like, oh shit. And then after that, when we got inside, they were yelling. They're like, if like they said this, is there gonna be any explosives if I check you? Like they had to like pat us down, and we had to like see if we had drugs or anything on us or like hide stuff. And I said nope. And then me and her, like, they put us against the wall with their hands, and they took the handcuffs off one by one. So after they took off the handcuffs, did I mention that they put handcuffs on? Maybe they didn't. Anyway, of course they put handcuffs on when you get arrested. So after they took the handcuffs off, they told me to take off my shoes, and dude, there was a bunch of socks. Like, why is all their socks here for, huh? And they had to go check through them, like, and like, oh, my heel hurts. And then they had to like move the socks with their shoes. And then after that, they said, okay, step in this room right here. And there was a shower with a toilet. And then there was a black man, not to be racist, but it was a black man. And then he told me to take off all my clothes. And I said, even my boxers? Like, yep. And then like, oh fuck. And I said, why? And he said, because I want to see if you have any tattoos or piercings or anything. And I said, you don't. I was like, I don't know that. And he was like, just do what I say. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So it was very awkward. I had to take off butt naked and like turn around, so you can see my ass and my dick. And it was just weird. His eyes got big when he saw my dick. I don't know why, but he looked at me from head to toe really fast, and he said, what's that right there? Like, oh, what, this? And I really don't know idea what it said, or what was it. Like, it looked like a scratch. And he said, do we need to see a doctor for that? I'm like, nope, everything's fine. And then after that, he said, okay, you're gonna take a shower, and you have 10 minutes or to 15. And I said, okay. And he said, when you're finished, press the button to let me know. And I said, okay. And he gave me my uniform, the orange jumpsuit, my socks, and I took the shower. Like, here's what happens when we walk in the shower. It's a curtain, and it's very small. And once you have to push a button to for the shower, and it's really cold, and it gets really hot, and every 5 seconds it goes off. Like, what? And you're constantly pushing the button like this, and you're like pressing down, but it doesn't work. It's like, how the fuck am I supposed to take a shower? And they have liquid soap. But the thing I liked about JUVY was that you get to shower by yourself. That's good. So I take my shower, right? I take forever. I didn't even know it. And then after that, I got the floor wet. Because the towel was very small, and I forgot that to put my towel next to my shower. Like, oh man, they're gonna get mad. But I didn't think they cared really that much. So after that, they explained the rules. Took us an hour because I had to do a test over what I learned. And after that, they took me a lunch. Okay, and lunch we had tacos, so that's cool. So we were watching TV, we were watching a movie. I think we were watching Jackass, with Steve-O in it. So that's pretty cool. And then after that, they had take us to our rooms, our cells. And my cell, it was close to the main entrance of the building, and my cell was right next to the girls. And then right after that, we played volleyball, and I accidentally got a ball on the roof. But they didn't get mad because they had more, of course. But then after we played volleyball, they took us back to school because I got in there on a Friday, I think. It was either a Thursday or a Friday. No, wait, it was a Thursday, yeah. We had school, and we had to go on a computer. It's called the A+ program. I have no idea what that meant because usually at my school we have Odyssey. So we were at the A+ program, and it was school but on a computer. So after school, they tell us to take off our socks and turn them inside out so they can check, and move your fingers through your hair and open up your mouth just to see if they're not hiding anything. And then they man, what else did they do? It's been so long. Oh yeah, we ended up watching movies. We ended up watching movies for the rest of the day, and then they called me out, and then there was a girl, or a woman, I should say. It was a lady, and she said, "Hi, and she said her name. I was like, I'm gonna be your new probation officer for 6 months." What? I was saying, what the fuck in my head? 6 months probation. And then after that, she said, I was like, I was scared, like I was shivering. She said, "Are you okay? Do you need a jacket?" Like, yeah, I guess. And then she gave me a jacket because everybody had jackets in there because it's freezing in juvie. And then after she gave me a jacket, she explained to me like all these things about curfew and all that. Like my curfew was 6:30. Yeah, 6:30 for my curfew probation. And she also talked to me about me violating my probation. If that happens, then I'll go back to juvie for a week, and then I'll be on probation longer. Like, man, probation. So after that was finished, I ended up eating dinner with everybody else, and I think we were watching another movie, but I'm not sure what it was. I think it was Shrek, yeah. And then like the girls sat in the back, and the guys had to sit in the front, and in the front row. And then I remember we had spaghetti that night, and then after that, everybody had to take a shower after dinner. But since I already took a shower, and so did that girl, then we didn't have to take a shower. And some more people came in during dinner, so they didn't have to take a shower either. But let me tell you how it's like at night, right when you have to go to bed. I think you have to go to bed at 8 o'clock and wake up at 6 o'clock for school. All right, so whenever you go to bed in juvie, they dim the lights, but it's still on, like bright. And then every 15 minutes, they have to have a key to see if your door's locked, to see if you haven't escaped yet, and you have to like put your jacket on the door so you won't hang yourself. So that's pretty stupid, but when you wake up in the morning, it's all clean and warm, so that's cool. But I remember every time I go to juvie, because I've been to juvie 2 times, or 3. Now, I'll make another story about the second time I went to juvie and let you guys explain if it was 2 or 3. Because the second time, they let me go early because I had a spider bite. So technically, I wasn't even in juvie, but I had to serve it again the next month. So anyway, what was I saying again? Oh yeah. So every 15 minutes, you have to they do this thing on the lock, and every time I go to juvie, I have the weirdest dreams ever. I don't know why. It just every time, and for some reason, it's always about school. I don't know why. By the way, if whenever you're in juvie, wherever I went to, maybe it's different in your state, you're in juvie by yourself, so that's cool. And whenever you have to flush your toilet, it's really loud, and it takes at least 5 seconds or more. I think it's 10 to make it stop, and it's really loud. So I had to put the blankets over my face because it was so dark. I mean, so bright, and it didn't even work. So by the time I woke up, and already, because I think I only had 3 hours of sleep that night, and you're supposed to get 10 hours. I think it's 10 hours, yeah. And I couldn't even sleep. So I was pretty tired. But in the morning, during breakfast, we were watching another movie, and it was The Weekend. And on weekends, you watch movies all day and play volleyball. And then after that, during breakfast, we were eating a variety pack of cereal. I think we were eating Frosted Flakes cereal. And then they called me and this girl, the same girl. And then after that, they take us in this room, and they put us in handcuffs and shackles, and they put this tight belt around us, and then I had no idea what's going on. I started freaking out, and they said, "Calm down, you're just going to court." And I said, "Oh, okay." And then they take us to this van. All right, they take us to this van, and some guy is driving, and they take us to court and wait for my parents. And then after that, court finally happens, and they explain to me what's gonna change. They go for probation, they go over what am I going to do differently, and then they can my parents, they could have choose to what's the word, I forgot. Oh, I got it. They could have detained me for another 2 weeks, but they didn't because they thought that I learned my lesson, but I didn't. But I'm glad they didn't, because it was a week before I was going to turn 12, so that's good, And then when I came home that day, my parents were happy I was home, and they gave me a hug. And then after that, I think I ended up getting McDonald's that day, but I was grounded. So even though I was grounded, I mean, I was still glad to be home. But I had to show up to probation every 2 weeks for the next 6 months, and take a drug test also every 2 weeks, which costs money. $10 per month for one drug test every 2 weeks. So it ended up coming out to $60 for the whole time I was on probation. So my dad was not happy about that. So I have another story about the time the second time I went to juvie, and then the third. But the third time I was there for 3 weeks because I got detained. I was there for 22 days. That's a long time. So that next story is gonna be longer than this one. Whoa, 15 minutes and 31 seconds. Wow. Sorry, this was a long comment. Or sorry if this was a long story. Please leave a like if you did enjoy. Leave a comment saying if you've ever been to juvie before. Subscribe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace. By the way, I was gonna say commentary, but I said life story instead.